Man, to be Jooha right now, I absolutely love how our pretty little Jooha is caught between a mother freaking hot fuckboy and a freaking sexy Yakuza. But before we get started with all of these, I just want to remind our viewers that if you like seeing more yaoi content and would like to support this channel, please don't forget to smash that like button. Also, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Feel free to leave me a message in my social media at Sealed Fujoshi, which I'll be using to interact with viewers about more yaoi content. If that's something that interests you, feel free to follow me at Sealed Fujoshi. Finally, this episode will contain explicit content and a lot of manhwa spoilers. With that in mind, please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Now, without further ado, let's jump into chapter 27 of Pearl Boy. So this chapter 27 starts off with Jooha and Dooshik continuing their conversation on why Jooha cannot leave this area of Korea. And we get a backstory of Jooha where he admits that this store, the clam store that he's currently working in, was established by his beautiful mother. The resemblance between Jooha and his mom is impeccable. They are like so freaking alike, both so freaking beautiful. Like seriously, they both have good genes. And we are also introduced with the fact that the boss and Jooha already had a relationship during this time or during this period. And Jooha and the boss seems to have just come back from Seoul, or maybe just, you know, another day of hanky-panky somewhere else. But it's obvious that the boss is from Seoul and he is a regular customer at Jooha's mom's store. And Jooha's mom knows the boss pretty well. And it seems like Jooha's mom knows that Jooha likes the boss. There's this small little tidbits of the mom teasing Jooha when the boss was about to leave and go back to Seoul. And she was just under the impression that Jooha and the boss were just out having a good talk. And she was very happy that, you know, Jooha has a friend, because it seems like Jooha, even at this age when he's in high school, all he does is work in the clam store. So it's nice to see that Jooha is friends with the boss in the mom's perspective. But she doesn't know that it seems like the boss was already a little bit sadistic at this time. I don't know if the mom is aware that Jooha is releasing some pearls on his pee-pee, but the mom knows that Jooha seems to like the boss quite a bit. And we get to see a little bit of rebellious side of Jooha during his high school years. I think he's high school here, where he's trying to hide Marlboro cigarettes from his mom. I don't know if it's Jooha's or the boss's cigarettes, but he's the one hiding it on his pocket. And when the boss leaves the clam store, you know, it's so obvious that Jooha is sort of infatuated with the boss at this time, because it seems like he was longing for the boss when he left to go back to Seoul. And the mom notices this and even teases Jooha that, you know, if Jooha wants to run after the boss, you know, since he was leaving. And then Jooha is like shrugs it off and being cute and everything. So the mom made a promise that one day she will take Jooha to Seoul. So take a pin on that promise, because I have a theory about that. And anyway, it seems like there's a lot of name drops of going to Seoul in this series, and it's not only the mom who's saying this, the boss frequents Seoul a lot, and that is also where Dooshik has to settle a couple of things. So it seems like this name drop of Seoul will play a big part at the end of this series. Anyway, so we also find out on Jooha's backstory that Jooha's dad had a gambling problem. He was addicted to it, and in the end, Jooha and his mom were the ones who had to pay the price of his father's gambling problem. And you know, it seems like this is the reason why Jooha is also in debt. It seems like when Jooha's mom died, he lost the store. He lost the clam store. And it is the boss who bought the store back for Jooha. And in exchange, well, I guess the exchange was he had to be gang raped to get those pearls. And this part still doesn't make sense to me. I saw the Korean version. I'm not gonna spoil you guys, but this next part still doesn't make sense to me of like why the boss would want him to gang rape. Maybe the answer is as obvious that he just wants the pearls, but then again, it seems like in the next chapter that's also not the case. But you know, the mom had this weird scene of when she was depicted of dying, that it seems like there were pearls beside her, or is those pills? Maybe it was pills, because there's a pill box on the top right corner of that scene. And it seems like maybe she took her own life when the gangsters took the restaurant from her, the restaurant that she built her whole life to build. And I would not be surprised that with all of this gangster activity going on with Jooha and Jooha's mom when he was young, that the boss was already involved on the takeover of the restaurant. Maybe that was the boss's way of ensuring that he keeps Jooha on a leash by taking the restaurant from them, making it seem like it was a gang activity, but maybe it was the boss's fault all this time that the restaurant was taken away, that led to Jooha's mom killing herself. We don't know. There's still a lot of question marks in this series, but one thing is for sure, the boss is capable of doing like vanilla sex. It seems like it. I mean, kinky, but you know, like without watching, because this past couple of 20 something chapters, he doesn't seem to engage himself. He seems like he just likes to watch. But in this chapter we see that he does engage, but with Jooha, and this tells a lot about him. Maybe Jooha really does have a special place in the boss's heart, that he is only willing to hold Jooha and only Jooha. And we get to see the boss asking Jooha that, you know, you want me to get the restaurant for you? I'll get it for you. And I mean, he means he'll buy it for him, and in exchange there's a condition. There's always a condition. And he was allowed to work in the restaurant. The boss bought the restaurant back but didn't give it to Jooha, which really doesn't make sense, right? He bought the restaurant, made Jooha go into all of this debt, but he didn't give the restaurant back to Jooha. Jooha is still working under the boss, which doesn't make sense why Jooha still has to sell his body for it. He doesn't own the restaurant. The boss didn't give back the restaurant to Jooha. Jooha is just working for that restaurant. So that also doesn't make sense, but maybe it will make sense later on. But yeah, that is the reason why Jooha doesn't want to let go of the restaurant. And we get to see a sweet scene with Dooshik and Jooha where Dooshik feels bad on what Jooha went through all this time and feels kind of helpless that he can't do anything for Jooha because he just can't right now. Like, he had to go through all of these by himself, and Dooshik just came to Jooha's life later on. And Jooha tells Dooshik, like, you can still do something for me, just stay by my side. And I love how Dooshik answers this and says, that's a piece of cake, that's easy peasy, I can easily stay by your side. But we let's not jump first. Let's go to the scene where I wanna point out that night when Jooha was sleeping, we see that Dooshik is staring at Jooha, and it seems that Dooshik noticed something with the pearls, and he said something that I just wanna put a pin for myself, that the pearls are bigger and brighter than it was before. And it might be because Jooha is happy when these pearls were made, meaning he's happy when he's with Dooshik, and he was having sex with Dooshik when these pearls were made. That's why it's bigger, and that's why they're brighter. And I'll put a pin on that because this seems to piss off somebody in the next chapter. But for now, we'll put a pin on that. And the next scene that we get to see is Jooha waking up, and it's daytime because when Dooshik was still awake, it was nighttime. Now it's daytime, and Jooha wakes up. Dooshik is nowhere to be found, and this was a bit odd because Jooha decided to look at the door first before he looks at the foot of his bed. And the other weird thing here is there's only one shoe, meaning where the hell is Dooshik's shoes? No, there's only one shoe left. I think that maybe Dooshik went out. Maybe he decided that he wants to get some medicine or maybe some breakfast, and then we don't know. We don't know yet. But when Jooha wakes up, he calls frantically for Dooshik, but Dooshik is nowhere to be found. Don't panic, guys. I don't think he ran off. Even though the pearls are missing from the bedside table, I don't think he ran off. But it seems like Dooshik is being played to, he's being imposed to look like a bad guy at this scene with Jooha. And of course, he starts to talk. Did you sleep well? I mean, the boss started to talk, asking Jooha if he slept well. Like I said, I don't understand how Jooha was able to miss the boss that was sitting right in front of him. He decided to look at the door, didn't see this big figure of a man sitting in front of him. Which is kind of funny if you think about it. But yeah, the boss is there when Jooha wakes up with his menacing, psychotic poker face. God knows what his face is, saying good morning to Jooha, and it ends there. And before you guys go crazy thinking that maybe Dooshik ran off with the pearls, I don't think so. I think it's been well established that the Dooshik is not that kind of dude, but I think next chapter is gonna be very interesting. Because it will dive deeper on the boss. A lot of questions that you guys are asking about the boss might get answered on the next chapter, but it will also raise a lot of other new questions. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please don't forget to follow my social media to be teased about some of the boys' love that I'm interested in. Feel free to leave me a message and converse with me in my Discord channel. I'd love to hear back from you. And please consider supporting the show by donating as little as 99 cents through www.sealedfujoshi.xyz. Also, don't forget to support the author. All the manhwa details can be found in the description below. Again, thank you so much and hope to see you next time.